Welcome to Giraffe Mindset. I am your host, Ben, the Chief Empathy Officer, calling from London, which is currently cold, humid, and locked down. But despite that, I am eager and inspired to do this video about Trump himself. Yes, the title is a bit clickbaity, but there is a message that I really want to offer to the world is to an invitation to see Trump with eyes of compassion. Yes, it's very difficult. This is the ultimate level of compassionate communication. So I'll just process a few comments here and there from Reddit and a few of the sources to also develop my ideas. I haven't really processed this that much yet, but so basically I want to offer a perspective in life where we transcend moral judgment. So when I close my eyes, I imagine that let me look at my list of needs to connect. So, yes, I imagine that Trump is generally quite angry with a clear longing to be seen, to be heard, and so hence to be loved. I imagine that we can connect with that deep longing of wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard, wanting to be loved. I have 95% certainty that Trump did not feel heard, heard, seen, or loved when Donald John Trump was a child. Next, secondly, I invite you to invite Trump supporters, the rioters who stormed Capitol Hill, to mind. Right now, you may feel angry, and I do too, and think, why are they doing that? But if you put yourself in their shoes, they believe they are doing the right thing. They want to be heard. They want to be seen, and they want to change the world to a way which is fair in their eyes. And that is also a chain of psychodynamics and childhood, which would lead to this reality: the need to be seen, the need to be heard, hence, the need to be loved is universal. You can see the deep longing from that in terms of Trump and his supporters. We cannot connect with our longing to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, right? Next, I invite us to consider the need of predictability and as a sub strategy of assurance, as a sub strategy of trust, as a sub need of love, universal love. The world is very unpredictable for most people due to COVID 19. I will not, I'm not a scientist, I will not go to debate the origin, but it is observable that the world is suffering. The world is truly suffering. So, clinging onto some form of certainty, we may ascribe a person, a guru, in this case, some people Trump, as the savior, where we can be protected, so that we can feel safe, so that we can feel trust, so that we can feel this universal love that we're all longing for. Personally, I don't choose Mr. T himself as my protector, but some people do. They've got no other choice. One presupposition from neuro linguistic programming is that we do the best that we can at any moment, given what we know at that time. Put yourself in the shoes of someone They are trying to do the best. They want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to make a difference, and by whatever their upbringing, they have chosen to follow Mr. T himself. Yes, actually, right or wrong can only be told in history because history is fortunately, unfortunately, written by winners. So these are just kind of a few perspectives. This is sort of a summary, and next I want to process a few. This is sort of the core, and then yeah, you may add it here. But I want to process a few comments by my NVC fellow practitioners at Reddit, and I want 10 seconds just to read out a few. This is by user. I don't know whether by user Sordid Bear. Um, 11 days ago, presuppositions, all judgments and moralizing is a tragic expression of an unmet need. Very true, very, very, very true. In this case, the need of predictability to be heard, etc., to be loved, is unmet for a lot of for the people, for the demographic that I mentioned. I imagine he'd start by connecting with what's alive in himself if he said their values are wrong and the pain is misguided. This is in the context of talking how would Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of nonviolent communication, would react, would communicate with the rioters. So, yes, start by connecting what's in life. What's alive in us is yes, I want to feel safe myself. I want to feel safe myself. I don't enjoy seeing Capitol Hill being terrorized. And and then the user continues, quote, I'm strolling through a list of needs, but nothing really popping out. Yes, I can offer also you my list of needs. I see it like a hierarchy. So I could ask some would what would that do for Rosenberg? Questions. If those judged as misguided were properly guided, then what would Rosenberg have? Presumably, they wouldn't be disrupting a government process. What would they do? Maybe create peace and order? Is peace and order your need? I suspect that's not all of it, because there is an element of manipulation afoot. So perhaps the need is related to clarity, seeing through misinformation, having the cognitive skills to think critically. But what does that do? Maybe the need is something like for everyone to contribute productively. And then there's a response by Neurosis. Well, I think your direction of thinking about what Rosenberg would do is powerful, and yes, there is manipulation afoot. Those being manipulated are available to that influence due to unmet needs and not necessarily a deficit to the, on their part. I would say the methods and circumstances do not invalidate those needs either. However, it does make it harder to arrive at the place of empathy since the methods feel unjust and simply more than our system can give them. It's very long. Examining those people by their actions tends to give clarity. These people's action imply they want power, very clear. They want to influence the world, even clearer. They want to feel their own sense of justice, clear as anything. And they want to be heard and their concerns to be taken seriously, what I said a few minutes ago. And mostly, they want to belong to something bigger than themselves that give them direction and meaning. Don't we all to be self-actualized? These desires are valid as they are some of the most basic human needs that we all have. Yes. And didn't the Black Lives Matter protesters show us how universal these desires are? Yes, I agree. To truly empathize with these people, we have to acknowledge that the system we have all been living in has done a disservice to everyone in it, and not just to the people who have been oppressed by it. We need to engage with them and extinguish their anger by listening and empathizing and acknowledging that by the turn of fate we could have them. We could have been them. It just by some turn of fate we were born to our parents, and then that didn't lead us to go to Capitol Hill on that day. That is nothing inherently superior about ourselves that has allowed us to be who we are or know what we know. We have been gifted this amazing method that allow us MVC, CC, giraffe mindset people, practitioners, growth seekers, to translate normal human behavior into something more understandable and relatable blocks so that we can serve others. Sitting down and listening to these people's pain and suffering and accepting that it is valid to them is the beginning of empathy, compassion, understanding with them to me. Personally, after reading these two comments, I feel touched and grateful. It is hard for me to say what the satisfied need is, but this is probably along the lines of hope, self-expression, and maybe somehow a celebration of life itself. Maybe hope that can, maybe a hope that celebration of life can be achieved. I'm very grateful for this Reddit post. I'll probably link it below. And there are other very insightful, but then I imagine that a video longer than 15 minutes will not have many viewers. So I shall draw to a close. I wish you. So yes, my call to action really in this case is to consider the list of needs in terms of Maslow, the universal basic human need, when we look at the news. And in this case, Trump, or maybe a trade war, or maybe pandemic, to consider the needs, to celebrate life itself. I wish you a day full of joy, passion, and compassion. I shall close with a song because that's my current practice. Yes, this is a Trump song. When I think of you, Donald Trump, and Trump supporters, I feel compassion for you because you have many longings to be seen, to be heard, to live a meaningful life, and you wanna do something. Your strategy is not in harmony with my world view, and my consciousness is not at the level of Marshall Rosenberg right now, but I shall practice NVC, nonviolent communication, every day. Giraffe mindset is the way that I relate to NVC and to live a life of compassion, and beauty. If you are inspired, please subscribe and like and share. Namaskar. May all beings live in compassion. Compassion. May all beings live in love. In love we trust. I wish you a day full of love, peace, joy, and compassion.